This is a video about my project to build a treadwall out of wood. In this video, I will be covering what a treadwall is, how I decided to make one, some of my ideas, what I have made, how I made it, how it works, some problems I ran into along the way, the finished product for this video, history on production, and goals for the future. Mass production is the production of large amounts of standardized products. The first mass production was just before the 1800s by Eli Whitney, used to make weapons. Henry Ford used these new mass production techniques to make the first mass-produced cars. The idea behind standardized parts is that they are interchangeable. If we didn't have standardized parts, you could never make a replacement part. This is a treadwall. A treadwall is a rotating climbing wall that works on your weight to pull the wall down as you climb. I first saw a treadwall at a gym in Squamish. I was trying it and I really liked it. I looked in to see how much it cost. There were different models, but the one I tried at the gym was about $12,000. I thought that was way too much to pay for it. I decided to think about the possibility of building my own. Me and my dad came to the conclusion that wood would be the most inexpensive and easiest to material that we had. In these drawings, I was figuring out how to connect the pieces of wood together. What I figured out was a system where we have gears and links of wood that have teeth that fit into the gears. All the links are connected to make a chain. This is a sketch of what the wall should look like. Now we had to figure out how to make the pieces the same every time. We came up with this idea to use a router. Then we had to figure out how to keep the router in line because we couldn't freehand it. If we did it that way, we would never get the piece the same every time. We needed something to keep the router cutting where we wanted it to. We thought that if we made a cut out of the link, cutout of the link that was the size of the edge of the router to the edge of the bit on the router, which was much larger than the link, we could just run the router around the outside of the cutout. We also needed a way to keep the chain from swaying out when we climbed on it. We thought that a slot in the shape of the chain could work well with the pins sticking out where the links are connected to keep the chain in place. Me and my dad did not have time to start making anything before he had to go to work in Arizona for 2 weeks. While he was gone, I used this jigsaw to make some rough prototypes. This is the first design that I came up with. I made a gear to try it out. I fitted the links and had made with the gear, but soon realized that that design would not work because I tried to move the links through the gear and it wouldn't move very well. I tried some other designs till my dad came back home. Then my dad downloaded a public source gear shape off the internet. He started to change the gear to have 8 teeth so it would fit our design better. Then we started to make links that fit around the gear. It was at this point that we decided to make our goal for the season to build a jig to make repeatable links. After that, we designed a 3-layer jig design. The bottom layer has 4 holes to align all the layers. 2 holes to align the block of wood that will go in the square hole in the middle of the layer that will get cut out to the link, and 3 holes to hold the removable pieces to allow the router to cut out the piece properly. This is what the chain and gear should look like. Now I am going to tell you how we made the jig. We started to cut out a piece of metal for all the holes so we can drill all the holes we needed precisely. Now I am deburring the piece of metal so we don't get cut on it. The next step is to drill the holes in the piece of metal. I am using a piece of paper that I printed off the computer drawings to dent the metal where I want the holes. Then I drill the dents through the paper so I know how big to make the holes. Now I am drilling a hole through the center of a bolt so my holes are straight. Here's the finished product. Now I am drilling the bottom layer with the bolt and the piece of metal. Then I cut it to size. I am doing the same with the middle layer. This time I am sawing out the middle piece. Now I am cutting out the part of the piece of paper that I don't need. So I can cut out the middle. Now I am assembling the jig. That I put screwdrivers in temporarily to align the layers. Now I need the removable guides, so I cut those out. Next I put real wood pins in. I realized that I need a piece cut out of our jig so that we can run the router through a section that we couldn't before, so that we could remove some extra wood. Now I am making a couple links to see if they fit together. Here are the finished links. So this is the piece that this jig is making. It's just like a link for the chain, but basically what we do to make it, we have our jig, which is built up of 3 layers, and what we do is just put the piece of wood that we're turning into this in the hole, and then we're going to take the router and just run it around the outside, and I can use this vacuum to suck up all the extra stuff, and we just run it around the outside, but we have to put this piece at the beginning so that you can see, so that when it starts over here, but then we keep going around, but then this gets in the way, we have to take it out, continue on, and then we put this piece in, and that would be able to make us finish the cut by moving it back around, and that would make a piece. Well, obviously I don't have a bit in right now, so if you can see, this is what it would have drilled in the piece, and then after that stage, what we do is we take this piece out, like so, When I made this, I should have made all the holes and stuff a bit larger so I could get the pieces out a little bit easier. But anyway, what I would have done is, you can see in this piece, some of the parts, like right here, I would have to dig all this stuff out so that it would actually come out. You can see I'm still got this chunk of wood that I need to take off, so that's why I have to remove this side so I can just kind of run the router over the section that I want to take off. That's the extra piece that I just drilled, cut out, and then you just take it out and flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. So you can see all the pieces have pegs that will fit in these alignment holes so that we're not freehanding any of the pits, and there's 4 pegs to align all the pieces, and 2 pegs in here that will align this so that it's on the same spot every time. So that way, that means that every piece is in the same spot every time, so there's nothing different. Every piece is the same. As you can see, all the pieces are the exact same. The only thing that might be a little bit different is when I go to sand it might take off a bit more, but it's not a large enough amount. They're all really close. The idea is that we're going to refine our jig. This is our first attempt at making a jig, so we're probably going to make a little more that will be better, but our attempt is to make a piece that we will have to do very little sanding at all on it. As you can see, we made a little mistake with the design, and it actually goes too far on both sides. Well, not with this piece, but some pieces you can see they go too far on both sides. So yeah. So in the end, I think we have achieved our goal in creating repeatable pieces. Even though our jig is not perfect, we had to, even at the end, after we had designed it, we had to take this piece out, which was not really what we were planning to do. And there's a lot of flaws in this, but it does still make repeatable pieces. These are probably not going to be the end pieces that I'm going to use to build the Treadwall, but something similar. So yeah. When we first started the project, we thought it was going to take a long time, but it's going to take longer than we thought it was going to take. My goal for the end of the next term is to have a jig to make the gear and test to see whether the gear and links will slide together well.